What's up, everybody? It's Caleb from Pulses, and I figured I would start this whole new series kind of deal where I do a deep dive and go through the mix project for every song on our new record. It wasn't supposed to be like this. For those who didn't know, we did the whole thing on our own, recording-wise. So I engineered and produced it and also mixed it and then sent it to our friend Bobby, who mastered the record. So I have access, to all the tracks and everything since we did it ourselves. So why not go through it, open them up, and just go through each song. I'll just kind of give maybe interesting anecdotes that I find or things that we went through while we were recording. Just kind of wing it. Go through each song section by section kind of and just explain it. So we can go ahead and start with the first track, Different Strokes. So let's see. You can just start with the intro. Nothing too crazy going on here. So they have this louder sample. This one is from, who is it? They did Mississippi Queen. Let me look up Mississippi Queen. Mountain. Yes. It's sample from a Mountain live show. And I know a lot of like hip hop, producers will use it as a thing, and that was just an idea Kevin had to just throw it in. The idea behind it was just like, that's like the first vocal you hear on the record, and it's like a sample, and it just kind of shows again kind of where we want people to know where we come from. We take a lot of inspiration from hip hop, so right from the beginning, get that louder sample. Anybody that's down with that genre has probably heard it before. And then also I just threw, EQ on it, decapitator, just to kind of add a little bit of some saturation, like a little bit more aggression to it, and then delay on it. I think one of the interesting things I want to note for like this part, with the guitars. Like, I know inspiration wise, we were kind of going for like dance punk and like older post-hardcore, kind of like the actual like classic DC post-hardcore. So I was thinking of like Q and Not You, and another one of our favorites, or one of my favorites, like Fake Shark Real Zombie. My guitar part is kind of like a normal riff that is, has like a progression to it. But then for Matt's guitar part on the right is very just kind of noises. Not literally, but just like it has a much less like fine-tuned and focused type of thing. Like it uses a lot of open strings and kind of just jangliness to it. And then especially going into the actual verse one, that one specifically is just like us hitting, the little strings up at the headstock and open strings more, and utilizing ring mod and phaser a lot on here, and just automating that exactly how we wanted it. So as you can hear, and I think even for that pre-chorus, there's a mix of phaser as well. Just has a little build-up kind of deal. And I know even on bass, like David does a couple cool things there, because I think he does like some kind of like tapping. Let's see. Vocals are cool. Let's hear some of the solo vocals.
I had the chance to commit and do my enigmatic dance. I'm shaking it with such an optimistic force. I must admit that even if it isn't righteous, it must quit.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot that we put a whisper track also with that part.
I had the chance to commit and do my enigmatic dance. I'm shaking it with such an optimistic force. I must admit that even if chance, you must have quit. I had the chance to commit and do my enigmatic dance. I'm shaking it with such an optimistic force. I must admit that even if it isn't righteous, you must have quit.
Yeah, I always remember back to doing whisper tracks as a technique that Mariah Carey would do a lot, just to add some more like sibilance to the words being said, and then also it kind of adds a little bit of a, you know, ominous kind of sound to it. Especially it's just like it's kind of just in there subtly, but you know, it just kind of adds to the atmosphericness of it. Dog bark. It's Bezos. He's here. Oh yeah, during the verses, got these storch claps. Storch! Yeah, and then also another part, just like these little skips, you know, just cutting out the tracks. And then also put like a high pass filter on it, you know, just as a sway as it goes out. I remember I had written an entirely different chorus for this part, and then I remember hearing The News by Paramore when they dropped that, and like they dropped that like literally while I was still writing for this song vocally, and I was just like, you know what, I want to do that. So that was one of those very last minute changes. I don't even remember how the other one went at this point, but I like how it came out. The chorus, I've always liked how the drums and production work together. So here's how the drums are. And then here's all that with the production on top of it. Yeah, and Matt was the one that programmed all of these different parts to it, and I especially like how this one is. And I've always liked how that like played with like the ride part in the drums too. Kind of like brings it out even more somehow. And let's solo my vocals for the chorus.
It took a moment when the panic hit me. I can see it when the darkness turned to light.
And it's gonna be often enough, like when it comes to like clean vocals on a chorus, like you'll see often for all over the record, you know, we'll triple track it, have one going through the center, and then one going left and one going right, and then screams.
Expose the picture for me clearly.
So that's pretty much the chorus. And going into the second verse, changes time signature, goes into 5/4. It's a little shift on things. One of the things I came up with trying to do on the second verse is on my vocals, adding in these reversed lines. It's literally, I went into each of my lines, like each phrase, and reversed them and realign them, because of course it's not going to be aligned correctly lengthwise when it's reversed. So here's how that sounds soloed. And then with just the reverses.
In suspension, out of breath, my tormentors.
Yeah, just as another thing to just add into it, just a little layer. Like I was saying before, when it came to like the whispers, just add a sense of like disorientation to things. You got guitars doing cool stuff. Like Matt's guitar on the right doing kind of having more of a delay reverb kind of tone, and then mine on the left is very phasered out. A little bit of delay on mine too, if I remember correctly. Some of those effects, like sometimes we bake them in as we're doing it or in like the pre-production phase. Other times I'll add them in like as I'm mixing, or if we come up with the idea later. Some of these I like on the third verse when Matt comes in is these reverse swells, risers. I think I took this word, reversed it, and then added like a reverb to it, and so it ends up sounding like this. And then from what I remember also, yeah, I had after I had put the reverb on and everything, I adjusted in automation the spread of the reverb, so it starts like completely left and right and then moves towards the center. Together it'll go like this.
Expecting the world to move! It's ended with my convictions! I hide inside my room! Like those in this position!
And as you can see too, like pretty much most of the screams, if it's like by itself or like for a verse, we'll double track the screams, adds just a little bit more intensity to it by having, you know, 2 separate takes of it. That's where the bass gets a little bit more, a little more aggressive. All right, shout out to reshoots because things mess up. Yeah, so we were closing out verse 3 and it goes into this slowdown here. Or at least that's what we were calling it. And as you could hear in there, there's a little beat that gets added production-wise. So here's that part with the production soloed. So yeah, just a little drum loop and then a white noise riser going into the impact clap just into the last chorus just to make it a little more, you know, impactful. Yeah, for the most part, well, the song only has 2 choruses. Both of them are generally just the same thing. Sometimes in other songs that we'll get into in some of the other ones, we'll add some more variances. Maybe we'll add like some other vocal harmonies, some other background parts, change up the instrumentation sometimes, but yeah, for this one, it was like, there's only 2 of them. We'll keep it similar. Yeah, and then it goes back into that main riff from the beginning of the song. We had this little part that we added in. Had to throw in a little clip of somebody that gave us a little bit of inspiration during the writing process. So, got this. Yeah, just go into that last main riff, be like, hey, yeah, here we go. I don't know. I remember I initially had thought before that it was like the Grunt birthday party, yeah, but I think that was an idea we were going to throw it in, but I think it ended up being longer, having more of a trail than we wanted, so we just got that probably off a splice. So yeah, that goes into the last part of the song.
So main part is pretty much the same thing from before, though, like I was saying before, and how just add a couple more layers to things for repeated sections. For this part, and, the whispers are still there. All these vocals that Matt does are new takes, because that's just another one of those things, just to add a little bit more variance to a part. And then the inflections are slightly different too. So while he's doing that, I'm also doubling up on him, just doing some extra layers on the sides. So here are those parts soloed.
I had the chance to commit and do my enigmatic dance. I'm shaking it with such an optimistic force. I must admit that even if it isn't righteous, I cannot quit, but I'm over it.
All right, and yeah, that's the general gist of that song. Hope y'all enjoyed looking into it, and we'll be going through and doing that for the rest of the songs on the record. So yeah, like I said, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you come through for the next 11 songs, and see you then.